On the News Channel 5 network, this is MorningLine.
For joining us on MorningLine, and Nick Barris here on a Monday. Hope you survived the sizzling hot weekend. Back at it now. Nice to be in a nice, cool studio, and wherever you're at, I hope you've got the air conditioning working as the summer sizzle continues. And talking about sizzle, we have a good show on tap this morning, talking about a controversial subject, something that came down within the last week or so with regard to immigration, what it means. I know a lot of you have strong opinions on this, and certainly in this election year, it's something that's going to be on the tongues of the candidates as far as, you know, some of the campaigning and what they talk about with regard to immigration, who can stay, who can go, and how it plays out with the Supreme Court decision that just came down. We're going to get the number up on the screen, but we're going to give you some background on this as well with our guest this morning, and we've got a story we're going to show you to try to get you up to speed. Some of this stuff can be complicated to understand, but in a nutshell, what it all comes down to. With us this morning is Evan Cathy. It's good to have you on, sir.
Thanks, Nick.
Always a pleasure. It's with the Tennessee Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition, and you know, we've got a lot to talk about here. I think if we can, if Mary Elena already has it queued up, you actually show up in this story. We did a piece last week when the Supreme Court decision came down. Again, you know, there's only 8 justices, not 9, and what we had was a split. And we'll explain what that means and what it all plays out. But why don't we take a look at that story, and then we'll get you in person talking about it and taking some of the phone calls. Let's have a look right now. Go ahead, Mary. Does she have it? Yeah.
It was a busy day at the Tennessee Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition office. But instead of celebrating, officials were answering questions about the latest Supreme Court ruling.
38,000 people in Tennessee were hoping that this month they would be able to apply for work authorization, an opportunity to stay here and not have to live in fear.
Cathy said now those immigrants will have to wait and worry. President Obama made the same argument while promoting his program during a visit to Casa Azafran in 2014.
If you have deep ties to this country and you are willing to get right by the law and do what you need to do, then you shouldn't have to worry about being deported.
Marta Lugo says 13 years after coming to Nashville from Mexico, the president's plan would have helped her find a better job.
When I first came into the United States, I saw the opportunity to pursue a better life for me and my family.
Now she says every day she will continue to worry about being separated from her 2 daughters.
It is very, very difficult to, go back to the fear that probably if I get stopped or pulled over by a police, the risk of deportation.
At Turk, advocates say the battle to help people like Marta is far from over.
We've been working towards reforming our immigration policies for many, many years, and this is a bump in the road, but we're going to keep fighting, and our immigrant community is going to keep fighting as well.
Okay, that gives you a little bit of a background on it. This basically dates back, does it not, to the president's announcement back, was it 2014, about providing deferred action, temporary relief from the threat of deportation for some of these people, right?
That's right. So in November of 2014, the president gave an executive action saying that if you are contributing, if you've been in the United States for a certain number of years, if you have a clean criminal background,
no crimes,
and if you have U.S. citizen kids, if you have deep ties to the community, you have kids who are U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents, that you would have a way to get on the books. You would be able to apply to the federal government for a deferral from deportation, which also includes work authorization, a way for folks to come out and to contribute more fully to the communities they're already contributing to, without having to worry that at any moment they could be pulled over or stopped and put into the deportation pipeline.
This did not mean that they would be getting lawful immigration status necessarily. It was deferred, and it essentially meant that they would not be a deportation priority anymore.
That's right. Only Congress can fix our immigration laws,
right,
which Congress has failed to do that year after year after year. What the president did was within his legal authority as the leader of the executive branch, which is interpret or decide how we want to enforce our immigration laws. And he said, hey, these folks who are working and they're contributing and they have U.S. citizen kids, we don't need to target them from deportation. And while Congress is not able to fix our immigration policies, I'm going to do what's in my power to make sure that these folks can stay here, that they have a way to work, they have a way to continue contributing, and they don't have to worry that one day they won't return home and their kids will say, hey, where's my mom and dad?
So from that, there was a legal challenge to it, and then an injunction was placed, to keep that from coming into effect. And then that went before the Supreme Court, which came back with a 4-4 ruling because there's only 8 justices right now. And as a result, whenever that happens, a tie at the Supreme Court means nothing comes out of there other than sending it back to the appellate level. So the injunction remains in place, correct? And this means it's going to have to go back, and this legal challenge at the lower court will have to be heard.
Yes, so the program, Deferred Action for Parents of Americans and Lawful Permanent Residents, DAPA is what it's called. It's not over. It's not gone. It's just, it was decided that it would remain blocked at the Supreme Court level. It'll now go down to the Fifth Circuit Court, where very likely a judge will hear the case and they'll decide whether the president acted within his constitutional authority. And let me add,
and that's where the challenge comes in. That the legal challenge to this is that the president doesn't have the authority to do this.
That's right. Every president, I believe since Eisenhower in the 50s, has granted specific groups of people deferred action at some point in time. Okay. Every single president has done that. It is within the president's authority as the one who executes or enforces our laws to make those decisions. So we believe that when the court's not split, we believe that it'll go back and that these programs will move forward. I do want to add that you would like to think that politics does not inject into the judicial branch. The judges are not biased, but we're all human beings. Judges are biased, and I would argue that from the very beginning, this lawsuit was politically motivated to try and stop these programs. And that's a big missed opportunity for our nation. It's a big missed opportunity for the folks who would be able to benefit, who could pay more in taxes, who could work, get better jobs. And it's a big missed opportunity for their kids.
Okay, and we're talking about some 5 million nationwide. Did she say in the story some 36,000 maybe here in Tennessee?
It's roughly 40,000 here in Tennessee.
And so under the current status, then these folks in a way are living their lives looking over their shoulders, wondering if any moment they might get tripped up where they get picked up and then maybe deported from the country.
Right, and the threat of deportation is very real. Between 2007 and 2012, just in Davidson County in Nashville, 10,000 people were put in deportation proceedings. I would say if you're a member of the immigrant community, it's very likely you know someone who's been deported. And the vast majority of deportations that have taken place in the past decade have been for things like driving without a license. Very minor infractions.
Where it catches them and they realize they're not here and undocumented, and then they deport them. Have there been any cases, to your knowledge, where there has been, say, a husband and wife who have children at home that were born in this country that were stopped for maybe something along those lines and deported while there's children wondering maybe where's mom and dad?
Yes.
Has that actually happened?
We work with many of those young people. Again, I think
scary
that the woman that was highlighted in the earlier piece, Martha, I think she knows personally many people who've been deported. And I want to say something for the viewers as well. Our immigration system is broken. It doesn't work. We have over 11 million people in the United States who are not here lawfully. Over half of them came on a visa and overstayed their visa. Our system is bureaucratic. It's slow, it's incredibly backlogged, and it doesn't respond to the needs of our economy or to the history that our country has as being a nation that accepts folks who want to take advantage of an opportunity, who want to come here, who want to work hard, who want to contribute. We've got to fix that. Not only Congress can fix that, but the people that would have benefited from DAPA, they're hardworking people who want to get on the books. You've probably heard somebody say, why don't you just get in line, right? Why don't you get in line? Have you heard somebody say that before?
Sure.
This was the line.
Yeah, this
was the line.
Now, and we're going to get some calls here, and the phone lines are open. I mean, on the other side, and we'll get into more of the detail of it, there are going to be people that say, okay, well, DAPA, fine, but you know what? They still were not here legally. Why should this exception be made for them? I mean, this is the whole issue at hand here. If they're not, and I understand they're here working, maybe they have kids and they're hiding in the shadows, but the reason they're doing it is because they're not here legally, and if they are caught, they should be sent back. Right. That's the argument some are going to make, and like I said, we'll take some of the phone calls. And you know as well as I do that if Scalia had not passed away and was still on the Supreme Court, that decision would have been 5-4 allowing the injunction to remain and probably to overrule the president's decision if it ever came to that. You know that, right? Scalia wasn't going to vote for this.
Yeah, probably not. And again, this decision was on the injunction.
You're right, on the injunction. You're correct. You're right.
So it would be going back to the lower court regardless. You know, I want to say as well, like we can't deport our way out of our immigration problems, right? That's not possible. I don't think most reasonable people think that deporting 11 million people, the vast majority of whom are working, they're contributing, they have kids here, they have deep ties to the community. That's not right. That our country
and again,
should
this
and cannot
argument,
do that.
as you say, as we went to the break, was not for all. It was for those that fit the category that you said, the hardworking ones right now that have children maybe that are here that have not committed any crimes along those lines. And when we say crimes, not if you get a traffic ticket, all right? Because look, I think we all, well, not everyone, but I've gotten my share of traffic tickets. Listen, on that note, we're going to take a break. When we come back, phone lines are open. Your thoughts, your opinions on this, anything goes. 737-7587. More with our guest, talking immigration, the Supreme Court decision, where we go from here right after this. Stay with us.